So everyone will just have to accept the recording there. But we'll just wait a second before we start answering the questions, I suppose, because there's still people joining in anyway, you know. So we have Dr. Tatelli and we have Dr. Rijvinder with us. Dr. Brennan, yeah, I told him, but maybe he's doing his program or maybe he forgot or something like that. I can give him a ring. But in the meantime, sure, you can go ahead and answer the question. So fire ahead, Dr. Tatelli, if you have a take on that, that'd be.
Sure, I'll just try to answer that. So I have no smell or taste for
5 years.
For 5 years, along with the diagnosis of aspirin. Sensitive. Okay. So sensitive to. Okay. So usually this is a fungal infection of teeth, basically. So in this case, good oral hygiene and oil pulling along with even nasal olation, that is nasya, will help in this case. So only thing is you have to do it religiously daily. So after brushing your teeth, you just do the oil pulling, like just take 1 or 2 tablespoons. You can start with 1 tablespoon of sesame oil into your mouth and just squish that oil into your mouth for around a minute and then spit it out. And then you can just rinse your mouth with warm water. So this is how you can do. Only thing, if there is no current infection in your teeth, any current fungal infection. If there is a current fungal infection, if you have a pain or something, then avoid doing oil pulling at that time. And then after doing oil pulling, then you can just instill one puff of oil on the website. So that will help to clear up all the channels, and it will help to even regain that smell, because these are all the sensory organs, and if you take care of them properly, then they will again give you good results.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good. And Dr. Raj, there's one there about sensitive teeth and grind my teeth when I'm asleep.
And Dr. Brennan is there if you like to.
Okay.
One more thing I would like to add into that, like neem water decoction, if you can make it at home and just rinse your mouth with that. That will also help in reducing that fungal infection in your mouth.
Okay. Okay, so neem water concoction. So what we'll do is we'll say hello to Dr. Brennan before you take that question, Rajvinder. We'll just see if Don is there. So Don, how you doing?
You know, hi everybody. Nice
How are you?
all.
Welcome along.
Thank you very much.
I told everybody you were probably meditating and forgot all about us.
Not how could I forget you?
That's true. That's true. Yeah. Okay, Raj. So if you want to answer that question, sensitive teeth and grind my teeth when I'm asleep, what is out of balance?
Okay, I don't have that question here, but yeah. So sensitive teeth, is it sensitive to temperature? And then, as Dr. Chitrali said, I'm not sure if she mentioned, I was looking at other question, the mouthwash powder we have, you can do that for gargling. And then gum oil is very good just to rub in, even though it's a gum oil, but it's also very good for the teeth. I'm sure you are doing your oil pulling. And grinding teeth sometimes could be stress related, so look into that you are not stressed. Who was that question from?
Hey, actually, probably when you come on, any chats that had been in. So the question is from Monica, you know.
Monica, yeah.
You won't see the old chats, is what happened, you know.
Monica, can you type in, is the grinding just started or you were doing it before? Because it could be like some new stress or...
thought it might be a vata imbalance, really. Would it be a sign of it?
Yeah, I have worked with Monica, so I just want to make sure what's going on. Infection, yeah, I have suggested Trifla wash. So neem wash is good, Dr. Chitrali suggested. I think you're doing that already anyway.
Okay, so just to let everybody know, in the area of oral hygiene and everything like that, like Ayurveda, you know, has an awful lot to offer in that area, and some of the products that we have in that area are fantastic, you know. So we have an Ayurvedic toothpaste, which is, I think, 30 different herbs in it. We have a gum care oil for rubbing on your gums. We have a mouthwash and we have a tooth powder. And then we have the tongue scrapers as well. So there's a lot you can do in that whole area, and then keeping that whole, and then the nausea for the nasal passage. And that's all part of your morning routine, you know. The nausea for the nasal passage is also very good in helping out.
So Monica, I just finished the note. She sent that it came back. So do the same. Go back on the routine that you were doing. So it could be that recently that infection you had, that your body is still recovering from that. So go back on the same routine of Trifla mouthwashes and all that. So you hold the Trifla water mixed with neem in your mouth, like you just hold it for a few seconds and then let it work, and then you discard it.
Don, what's your take on tooth polishing? Before you came on, I just was explaining that, I mean, a good few years ago, I got my teeth, when I went to the dentist for something else, he just said, well, I polish your teeth. And I thought, well, why not? Go ahead. And it's probably the worst decision I ever made in my life. My teeth were on fire for months every time. I mean, really, really painful. And I've forgotten all about it, but those questions are bringing up bad memories of it, you know. Like I never would have got them done if that was going to happen. Have you ever experienced anything like that before, or is that very uncommon or common?
You're asking me?
I was asking Don, but he's disappeared.
Okay, yeah, Dr. Brown is there.
My signal seems to be poor because you broke up during that. Tooth polishing.
Some noises in the background.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to mute everybody on the call again, and then I'll just, yeah, because there's too much noise coming through. And so I'll mute everybody. And
Mary Brian.
okay, I'm going to mute everybody, and then you can just, the doctors can unmute themselves. So Don, you should be able to unmute there. And Raj, you should be able to unmute.
You know.
Yeah.
And Chitrelli,
yeah,
you should be able to unmute as well. So Don, yeah, tooth polishing, have you come across that before, where it's actually caused the teeth to become very, very sensitive afterwards?
No, but so I don't know why that was particularly a problem for you, but obviously it must be for some people. And you know, the whole purpose of it is to remove the plaque. But I'm not quite sure what's involved in it.
Yeah, it could be what material is the polish made of from?
Exactly. I'm just having a look online to see if I can find what exactly.
Okay, we can come back to it. Anyway, it's just a problem that I had at the time. I'm not sure if anyone else experienced that problem before.
Well, I say it's better not to do things, but some people might have a lot of like yellow and, as Dr. Benny said, plaque. So, but then it depends what material is involved. That might cause further issues. So.
Yeah. Anyway, since I started doing oil pulling, and that gum care oil is just, I just find it fantastic, you know. I haven't had any issues with my teeth whatsoever, so that's all fine. Someone said about oil pulling affecting the amalgam fillings. Does anybody have any take on that?
I cannot see why it should, because it if anything is a very good purifier. So it cleanses and it kills bacteria. So I cannot see why it should be any problem. I mean, it's a food. It's not a chemical as such. Sesame oil or coconut oil or foods have been used for thousands of years. Mind you, amalgam fillings have been around that. But you know, I still can't. I have never come across a problem with it in all the years.
Rajvinder?
I would say don't do it for too long, because people who have implants or anything, they do say that oil pulling make it loose. I had a lady that happened. So then it just say, just do it quickly, like 30 seconds or a minute. Don't go for longer than that. I think that some of the functional medicine doctors are totally against it. When people have mercury feeling, they don't advise oil pulling. So I say just don't do it for too long, because.
Okay. Well, if you told Western people not to do oil pulling because they had mercury fillings or amalgam fillings, then that would be everybody finished with oil pulling, because I don't know any people in the West. You're the only person I know that doesn't know. You and your husband and your child are the only people, and probably the other doctors, Tricelli and Naheed, are the only people I know. What about you, Dr. Brennan? How are you with the oil fillings?
Thanks be to God, over the years, I got rid of the mercury once, but I haven't had a fill-in for 10 years now, so I'm going strong at the moment.
Okay, but, like most Irish people, you probably got them as a kid.
Oh, Lord, yeah.
Yeah, whether you needed them or not.
Honest to God.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the dentist sees a potential filling coming and operates to make sure it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm not. That's a nice way of putting it. I used to think when I was a kid, I went in and they just give you a filling because they were getting paid by the government to give you a filling. You know, maybe I'm too cynical.
I know, but Noel, what were you eating when you were a child? Huh?
Yeah, well, that's true, but I couldn't see how my teeth could have been that bad by the age of 14. You know, that I nearly needed every tooth in my head to be filled. Every time I went to the dentist, I seemed to be getting. Anyway, no worries about that. Okay, Rajvinder, so your advice is if you do have fillings, don't do the oil pulling for too long.
Too long, yeah. Just do a shorter one because you still have the benefits, as Dr. Brennan said. It's food and it's cleansing for teeth and it's calcium for the other tooth as well. So you want complete health, so just don't do it for too long. As Dr. Brennan did a nice thing, he removed the mercury. So look into that.
Yeah. And there's controversy over that as well. They say if they're not leaking or they're not causing you problems, then you're better off leaving them alone. But I suppose you need to do your own research on that. So Bernie says their 21-year-old son suffers a lot from indigestion. Can you please give any advice? The best advice I can give Bernie in relation to that is that he does the 7-lesson introductory Ayurveda course, particularly the one on digestion. Whether a 21-year-old is going to have any interest in doing that is probably unlikely. But, you know, it's just the normal, that's just a lifestyle thing. More than likely, that's just a lifestyle thing. What time is he eating at? What foods are he eating? Is he eating sitting down? Is he watching the telly? Is he respecting his food? Is he taking time? You know, all of those things that can just throw your digestion out. So you'd really have to look at the whole thing around his lifestyle. But if he was willing to do that course, you know, sometimes people won't do anything about a condition until the suffering becomes unbearable, or they have to suffer a lot before they do something. So he can always look at redressing it, you know, but I don't know what he's like, but I know a lot of 21-year-olds would have no interest in that, but it's probably all around lifestyle. Dr. Brennan, any comment on that?
A pain in the tummy could be due to anything. You know, there's so much that could go on in the stomach. It could be from the liver, the gallbladder, the kidneys, the stomach, the intestines. If he has a significant problem, there's no harm in getting a full medical, seeing his GP, just to exclude any problem. But if it turns out that, you know, there's nothing significant there, then, you know, and if it's not a significant problem to him, but a nuisance, he could certainly start with learning how to take care of himself, because as Noel says, we bring on our digestive problems. I mean, the way we treat our stomach, we think that the stomach was your worst enemy. You know, the stomach is looking for food and you don't feed it, and it's not looking for any food and wants to be left alone, and you're stuffing grub into it. And you're eating under stress, which upsets the stomach. And there's so many reasons people bring on these problems and don't realize it, and then end up going through all sorts of medical investigations only to be told that they don't have a problem, or they have an irritable bowel. Well, you know, they probably have irritable bowel because the bowel has every right to be irritable. So I would say, if it's significant, make sure it's investigated. And if it's not significant, or if the investigations are not providing the solution, then, you know, use the Ayurvedic approach. It's brilliant for digestion.
Absolutely. I mean, Ayurveda, anyone that's done any of our courses knows that the main root cause of most diseases is, you know, improper digestion, the creation of ama in the system, which then lodges in various parts of the system. So you have to get your digestion correct, you know, even if you're eating good food, but your digestion isn't strong. It's, you know, you have to get your digestion sorted out. But anyway, maybe he's a very advanced 21-year-old. Maybe he's quite willing to listen to alternatives. So you can pass them on to him, Bernie, you know. The next question is quite long. Someone with ongoing complications in the womb space, they've potential endometriosis with signs of cysts on both ovaries. They've been suggested hormone contraception, which I do not feel comfortable with possible keyhole surgery. They've talked to Raj about it before Christmas. They had a chat with Raj, and maybe looking for any advice. That it's kind of a very serious thing, and maybe it's probably better dealt with a consultation, really. You know, there's a lot going on there. But Dr. Brennan looks like he's about to say something. So
absolutely, that even as the question was running, I was thinking definitely a consultation. But it's not just a matter of a consultation. Somebody thinks they go and see someone and all their problems should dissolve. The fact is, you go for a consultation and you continue with follow-up, and you have a program that is going to be ongoing at least for 6 months. So if you've seen Raj, you've made a very, very good start. You couldn't go to anybody better, but you're going to have to be willing to make changes, to spend time to learn about your physiology and how to take care of it. But I've definitely seen ovarian cysts disappear and endometriosis settle down with proper, Ayurvedic advice. And, as I say, you've seen Raj, that's a great start, but give Raj a good chance and stay with her.
Am I correct in thinking endometriosis is a Vata condition, Dr. Brennan, or is it Vata Pitta?
Yeah, because Vata we have two powerful Vatas in our body, and one is upstairs and it's prana, and that one it will have us spaced out. It takes us up. And the other one, which is more to do with the physical aspects and taking care of the physiology, the primary Vata for that is Apana Vata, which is down the other end. It's in our pelvis. And that one, by its virtuous nature, should move down. It's because it's made of Akasha and Prithvi, if I remember right, or Vayu and Prithvi. And these two, their combination is such that the Prithvi element in the Panavayu, it causes the whole force to move downwards to keep you grounded, to keep you in touch with the earth. However, with the dilemma we have with stress living and rushing around the place and thinking, our prana gets too strong and pulls the apana up. And the upward movement of this apana, the Vata in the pelvis, is taking the lining of the womb, which should be expelled downward during the monthly cycle. It's taking it up into the tummy. And so it's seeding then on all the organs in the stomach. And it gives such discomfort and such problems. But, understanding of that dynamics is what is basic to the approach to resolve the issue, to provide a healing by ensuring that the apana is brought back down. And, these problems arise over months and years of behaviors and lifestyle and emotional issues that it's going to take a little time to heal.
Okay. So Vata condition again. Like most things in life these days, like many diseases related to Vata. Mary Burns says, any insight into random bruising? My friend 58 is getting bruising on his hands and now the feet. Charlie, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm
there. Do you want to do random bruising? Any ideas?
Okay, so that is basically because of small capillaries which burst open, and that causes bruising. So here, one thing, age is also one of the factors which can be considered. And according to Ayurveda, I feel it is more of nourishment of your 7 tissues which are not doing well. And that is where there might be bruising on the hands and on the foot. And I feel that you should undergo few of the blood tests to see the platelet counts as well, and even what is the clotting time to get a good clear picture.
Yeah, I've seen that in older people, but not 58. 58 to me wouldn't even be old, so it's but I've seen it in, I think actually my dad has some of it on his hand now, but my dad's 95, so that's more getting up there. Actually, he might even like be saying that, but anyway. So any other ideas? Any of the other doctors on that bruising?
I would agree with Chitrali. First up, exclude any problem by getting the bloods checked, and after that, all being well, then yes, you have to learn how to take care of your digestion and probably improve the nutrition to the tissues, which the Ayurveda could advise you on.
And, antioxidants, maybe have antioxidants in your diet, and you can actually get antioxidants as a tablet as well, because it's a lot of oxidation that happen with the age, so we tend to have that. And in your blood profile, your platelets might be a little bit here and there, so zinc could be a good addition to add into your diet and your supplement.
And again, I feel here it is more of pitta condition, the excess pitta which is going there in the body. So I feel you should go for a good consultation to look into that. Yeah.
Okay, Mary, so lots of advice there you can pass on to your friend. Delia says, in relation to Triphala Plus, is this safe to use if you have low systolic blood pressure? I note there's contraindications mentioned online. I'm currently using Facilium until I know the Triphala is safe for me. So I presume you're using it for, colon cleanse or bowel movement or as a laxative. It depends on what you're using the Triphala for, I suppose, to a certain extent. But Dr. Brennan, any comment on that?
Yeah, because online you'll find the information that Triphala is good for high blood pressure, and that may work in different ways. One being clearing the atheroma or plaque that develops on blood vessels. And so, people in medicine are incredibly cautious, and they see herbs like medicines. So if you have a medicine that's reducing blood pressure and you have low blood pressure, you obviously have to avoid it, because that's what medicines are, the medicine is specifically to do. So you don't want to reduce your blood pressure. But what's not taken into consideration is the fact that herbs are completely different, and they have so many active principles which act in unison to have an overall holistic effect. And the strange thing about herbs is that, you can have a herb which in one circumstance will increase blood flow to your tissues. And then in a different situation, the same herbal will cut off circulation to tissues where there's a cancer, which is incredible because there's two opposite actions for the same herbal, but it's because there's two different circumstances under which the herbal is operating, and every person is absolutely unique and incredibly complex as a chemical mix, and so is the herbs. And there's a synergy with these natural products that is overall more holistic and healing. So I would think that that's where that caution came about Triphala, and I would encourage you to take it, because I think it's not going to be a problem to you. And I think Triphala is a very, very good herbal with so many benefits. So I would go ahead and use the Triphala, and okay, you can do it cautiously to assure your own confidence, and just take the one at night going to bed. And then if the need is greater than one, you can, when you're used to taking the one tablet, after a week or two, you can push it up to two. And so introduce it gently, just to be sure.
Okay, and there's a great brochure on Triphala. I mean, Triphala is just such a wonderful herbal preparation. We have a brochure on it on our website, just dedicated to Triphala. It's called The Remarkable Qualities of Triphala. So if you just go to the menu option brochures, and you can click there, and you can see there's one on Rosianus, but there's one just on Triphala alone, and how good it is. So and one for you, Rajvinder. I think there is a lot of advice.
I'm just going to add, sorry, no, I'm going to add into that, because Triphala could be dehydrating, and that's where the blood pressure low thing happens. So make sure this person drink enough water. So because it's a drying ingredients.
Okay.
Especially the bahit.
So drink water. So there's a lot of advice these days about cutting sugar from the diet to improve both physical and mental health. What is the Ayurvedic perspective? It's one of the 5 tastes we should have. Well, there's 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, astringent, pungent. Sweet is the taste as opposed to sugar. Obviously, sugar is sweet. There's many, many different types of sugars. And that's where the problem comes in. So, Rajvinder.
Yes, eat packet of chocolate. Yes, it's the natural sweet, which naturally come from the grains, like rice, naturally sweet. Fruits are naturally sweet. Honey is a sweet. So that kind of sweet taste is encouraged in Ayurveda. And the problem nowadays is we want sugar, but we don't stay in moderation. lots of people say, oh, I am the person either nothing or the whole. So if you're someone who not happy with the square of chocolate and you want the whole bar, then you better stay away from that kind of refined sugar, because refined sugar is the problem. Since that was introduced into our diets, yeah, that was like pushing the sale of the sugar, and the average intake of sugar is like 3 teaspoons. So which we can easily, like, we use a little bit of sugar in your tea or whatever way, but we need to avoid, there's a lot of hidden sugar, like yogurt, for example. There could be a lot of sugar added in the yogurt, or some of the pre-packed food, and one of those kind of curry mix paste we get and we mix into our foods that could have already a lot of sugar. So we take a lot of hidden sugar. That's where we need to be careful, because sugar, what is sugar causing the trouble is acidic. It causes more acid into our system, and it lead to inflammation. That's why there's a lot of sugar warning, and it's also the rise of dementia and everything. The doctors are kind of focusing on asking people not to take too much sugar. So you just have to go more healthy sugars. I'm not in a kind of a complete kind of say, oh, zero sugar, which is impossible. It takes a lot of patience, a lot of training for someone to go totally without sugar, because mostly what happens, people go without sugar and then they come back, and they come back really bad on it. So stay in moderation, enjoy, little is enough. So that's the sugar, and go with the unrefined options, like jaggery is there, maple syrup is there, honey is there. So what is more available in the nature without much modification by man. So
yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100% there, Rajvinder. Our intake of sugar, I mean, Dr. Brennan gave me the figures one time, the amount of sugar we used to take at the turn of the century and the amount of sugar that the average person takes now. Like, it's phenomenal, the amount of sugar we put into our system, and it's hidden everywhere. As you said, yogurt, people mightn't be expecting that yogurt would have sugar in it, and it's all this refined sugar as well. And it's linked to, it's been more and more linked to heart disease now as well, because what's happening, what they're saying now is the endothelium, the lining of the inner veins, gets scarred by highly processed food. And then that's when these repair mechanisms have to go on, which involve cholesterol and all these things. And then that can give rise to blocking up the system. It's also linked to cancers as well. So processed foods in general, I mean, you'll get your sweet intake from things like honey and grains and things like that, and they don't cause this massive spike, this massive release of energy, but very refined sugars do that, and so really processed foods in general, if you can avoid them, but highly processed white sugar and all that, if you can avoid it. Maybe Dr. Brennan, because it's I think it's a big issue in relation to people's health. So Don, do you have anything else you'd like to add in that?
You can definitely have all the sugars you like, so long as those sugars are in their natural packages. So if you take sugars in fruits, then you find that the fruit has a lot of fiber, and because of the fiber, the process of transit in the stomach is slowed down, and also the fibers are more slow to release the sugars. So the sugars are gradually introduced into the bloodstream, and in that level, they're then used. They're absorbed to generate the energies we need going throughout the day. You refine it and remove it from its natural context, and now you have something which just hits the stomach and the intestines and is straight in. And as Noel said, you get this sugar peak. So now the body is challenged. This is very stressful for the body. The body has to respond to this because the sugar level shouldn't go too high. So it produces a lot of insulin in a surge. And what the insulin does is it just opens all the gateways in the cells, particularly of the muscles, to absorb all that sugar. So now what happens is the blood sugar drops. And when the blood sugar drops, the body doesn't want that either. So now you start to feel a lack of energy and a dizziness and an unsettledness. And so the only thing that you know what to do is have a cup of coffee with sugar, and that gives you another boost. And then there's another collapse, and then you have to have a snack. And so this oscillating is what then causes the muscle cells and other cells of the body to say, I'm fed up with this. I've got too much sugar coming in. I'm closing the gates. Next thing, the insulin is not working. So people are getting insulin resistant, and they start to develop in a direction of heading towards diabetes. In the meantime, as Neville says, the sugar is a free radical, which is it's one of the worst free radicals eventually, which is what causes the inflammation, which is damaging the inside of the blood vessels. And then when the damage is happening, the natural response is to start healing, which draws in fats. Now, sugar ultimately in excess is transformed into fats, and it's also transformed into the bad fats, which now are transferred to the blood vessel. Now you have that aroma developing. So, yeah, sugar is not, it turns off the hormones you have that tell you you've eaten enough, which is why you can eat carbohydrates until they come out your ears. You try eating fat, and you'll come to a certain point where you're just saying, so you actually won't get obese. You're very unlikely to get obese with a very fatty diet. You're very likely to get obese if you're eating a lot of sugar. And all the obesity you see that's increasing around Ireland at a dramatic rate, and in the UK, and we have been witnessing in America for so long, is because of the refined food. And all the sugar can turn into fat, and it's usually the bad fat, the belly fat, which causes more inflammation. So yes, the problem is not that we're eating sugar, but we should be eating minuscule amounts other than the sugars that come naturally in the foods that we're devouring, you know.
So take natural sugars. So I would think as well, like, you know, like people drink orange juice with their breakfast or apple juice with their breakfast, and you know you might end up drinking the juice of like 2 or 3 oranges, which normally wouldn't do. So in that vein of thinking, and you're missing out on the fiber as well. Really, it's eat an orange rather than take orange juice, or eat an apple rather than take apple juice. Would you agree with that, Dr. Brennan?
Yeah, absolutely. And certainly if you're CAFA, you shouldn't be doing these fruit juices. But you know, you're right. It's a sugar rush. That's why you go for smoothies where you still have the fiber.
Right. Okay. So yeah, go for smoothies, or go for the fruit itself, you know, the whole thing, you know, less packaging, less waste, get locally grown fruit if you can, an Irish apple or whatever, you know. There was something on the radio during the week about apples. They're discovering more and more incredible things about the quality of apples. Sorry?
Pesticides, or on the positive side?
On the positive side, organic apples, yeah, they were going on about some really, really great benefits. I heard it during the week on some show on the radio, you know.
The apple, if you take 100 grams of an apple, you have a very minuscule amount of vitamin C. And yet the apple, the effect of the apple is, you know, 1,000 or 2,000 times the amount of vitamin C in its vitamin C effects. In other words, for some apparent reason, the apple is a very, very, very useful vitamin C source, and yet it has only a tiny amount of vitamin C. So they investigated this. They started to discover that there's not just that one molecule of vitamin C. There are hundreds and hundreds of molecules in the atom which are vitamin C-like, which have not only the effect of vitamin C, but they have many other benefits. And so it's not actually one chemical, which is the problem with the way we investigate nourishment from a Western point of view. It's not just the chemical, it's the whole ecosystem of that chemical in that fruit, which gives it far more profound benefits for us when we eat it than what you might initially anticipate.
Okay, so the whole is always greater than the parts. Yeah. Okay. And the old saying is, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's obviously an allopathic doctor, not an Ayurvedic doctor. You want to be going to your Ayurvedic doctor. So Peter asked a question. Can you explain the difference between Aryu Defense and Chyawanprash? So Aryu Defense is tablet format. It's possibly, I think Maharishi Ayurveda put that formula together during COVID. It's an antiviral for keeping the immune system strong. Chyawanprash is a very old recipe. It's in a paste format. It's very good for the lungs. I think, Dr. Brennan, you'd probably be able to, you've done some good research into the Aryu Defense, so maybe you'd be able to explain the difference between those two products.
Yes, as you say, though, they just investigated the the vulnerabilities and the consequences of COVID, and recognized, that there was a kappa element to it. There were specific tissues of the body primarily affected, and it was of a viral nature. And so it allows the Ayurvedians then to, in the natural situation, Elijah would sit there and not only use the combined herbals like the ones we use, but he'd have all different herbs individually there, which he would select naturally for a specific person with a specific complaint. And this is what the expert panel of Ayurvedic doctors at Maharishi Ayurveda Products in India did, to put together a formula which would be strengthening the immunity and reversing the negative effects of the viral infection. So that's where that one came from. Whereas Chyavanprash, you go back to the ancient text Charaka, and it describes Chavan, who was a great sage, and who had an arrangement to marry the king's young daughter. And so, he didn't think it would be fair to impose an old physiology on this vibrant, beautiful young lady. So he concocted this decoction, which restored him to the youth and vitality of a 30-year-old. And they lived happily ever after. And that's the stories where Chyavanprash came from. Now, I can't guarantee it's going to do that for you, but it's talked about in terms of its rejuvenating effects. But it has a lot of pipali in it, which is very specific for the lungs. And that's why we use it as a tonic also for COVID.
Okay. So Sally Hayden is asking about when you put a triphala tablet on your gum, if you have a root problem, how long do you leave it, and do you rinse well and brush straight away after?
You leave it overnight.
Yeah.
Because what you're trying to allow is time for it to draw out the toxins. So you leave it overnight. And then in the morning, it's because it's now toxic, you don't want it, you just immediately rinse your mouth and spit it out.
Yeah, so that's what I would have said as well. Yeah. So Alison talks about sugars, but we've gone through that. We know where we can get them now. George Hollis, hiya, George. Haven't spoken to you for a while. Mid-November last year, I started waking during the night with severe pain in both legs. When I got up and walked around for 15 minutes, the pain stopped. I saw my GP 5 weeks ago and asked her if the pain could be connected to statins. I take it. It says stations, but I presume statins. Have taken statins for 17 years, started after a small MI. GP suggested stop taking the statins for a few weeks, which I've done. The pain has completely disappeared. Is there an alternative to statins in Ayurveda that I could take? I see my GP week, but not sure about starting off statins again. Well, statins are linked to muscle pain. There is absolutely no question about that. There is an alternative. Statins are used to control your cholesterol levels. So red rice yeast, it's actually where statins came from. It's where they originally found that red rice yeast, which is a naturally occurring product, had this effect, and then they took the active ingredient and formulated. So red rice yeast would be one that a lot of people would use to help control their cholesterol levels. But maybe the doctors have some other opinion. Don, maybe you have another opinion on that, do you? Don's not with us. He's gone. Rajvinder.
Yeah, I suggest if you're looking into, first see, do you still need to take that? You said you have a mild MI, so your doctor probably won't. So red rice yeast plus is the other option. I say you can start that and see if it's not causing any trouble. Sometimes red rice yeast people do say, but if you've been on the statin, I think red rice yeast would be fine. That's the natural option. And then I suggest people like healthy fibers, which is inulin powder, easily available in the health store. That's also good. And turmeric in your diet. Trikatu, which is 3 spices. It's also good because statin. The blood. You want to keep your blood thin. So spices help. Ginger, black pepper, and then cooking with cumin, that kind of spices in your diet. And make sure your diet is, you eat warm food, you don't eat too late, and then the sugar and the refined carbs, all that kind of lead to inflammation in the arteries and all that. So it's just really need to look into diet and a good lifestyle, that you have proper exercise and everything.
Okay. That's lots of advice there for you, George. You can probably get around the situation without taking statins again, hopefully, you know.
The problem with the statin is doctors don't warn you, but it can reduce your CoQ10 level. So it's always good to have a CoQ10, which is antioxidant for your heart. And when I say red rice yeast plus, which is already added into that, because red rice yeast work on the same pathway to the liver, not to let the liver produce high cholesterol. So you need to see like why your liver is producing high cholesterol. But if the cholesterol is fine, you still want to keep on a blood kind of thin, then as I said, red rice yeast plus and the spices and a good lifestyle. Do something that you do exercise where you kind of come to a point where you break sweat. So that's when your blood circulation go to a level where you keep the blood running throughout the body.
Okay.
Can I just say that my signal keeps breaking up, so I missed some things there. But I've moved up and it's improved. But George, I've just sent you a document. I just emailed you a document as well about cholesterol, which hopefully should help.
Yeah.
Okay. So Stephanie's asking about how to shift abdominal fat. So yeah, Stephanie, again, I'd go back to the Ayurveda course about proper diet and proper lifestyle. It's all connected together. Like it's about eating the right food. It's about eating the right quantities. It's about having the right exercise. It could be due to a sluggish digestion. It's about making sure your digestion is strong. All of those things really, it's probably a combination of a lot of things. Is there any one tip anybody would give for that?
B-trim.
Sorry, Don?
Okay.
B-trim.
B-trim.
B-trim tablets and B-trim tea, that's definitely. And if you're eating rice and too much dal, I say you start introducing maybe millets because of low GI. And millets are brilliant to shift weight because of very high fiber, and it keep your stomach full, and it's also kind of full of protein, so you're not missing on nutrition or anything. So because of India is reviving the millet, so I'm cooking some millet. I'm loving it, so it's feeling very light in the body, and so I say
Actually,
instead of rice.
Dr. Radvinder did a brilliant presentation on millets in the Indian embassy a few weeks back. He was the Indian government is pushing the use of millets because it's a crop that doesn't require much water. It can grow in very arid circumstances, and it doesn't require the richest of land. So you don't need huge amount of fertilizers. And it also seems it's kind of oddly enough, it's the ancient grain of India. It's not, we think of rice and dal and things like that, but millet was traditionally used, you know,
Yeah.
and there's about 13 or 14 different types of millet, barley being one of them, you know. And Doctor, we went there, and there was a local restaurant that cooked some meals with millet. What was the name of the restaurant? It's in Stillorgan. Monsoon, yeah. If any of you living around South County Dublin, it's really the chef was brilliant, and he did a whole range of dishes using millet, different types of millet, and it was very, very informative. So yeah, definitely.
I was watching the International Year of Millet, their Facebook page. They're putting from all around the world, wherever the Asians are. In Australia, yesterday there was a post, I don't know which country, they had millet noodles and millet pasta. We can get millet flakes here in Ireland, so it's interesting what they're producing out of millet. So.
And someone in the audience said that Guinness was made with barley, so there you go.
No, the barley is actually slightly different from millet because barley has gluten. The barley in Ireland has gluten. The one Indian millet is bajra. We just kind of compare it with barley, which is gluten-free. So I think barley is closest to millet.
Closest to millet.
The gluten content, it's yeah.
Okay. All right. So any tips for blocked ears for the Vata person? Oil, I suppose.
Dr. Chitrali, take it.
Dr. Chitrali.
So oiling, like putting the garlic on, is good for any of the Vata condition of the ear. So you just have to take like the sesame oil and then just heat it up a little bit and put one garlic clove into that, and just heat up that oil for 1 or 2 minutes, and then you just put your little finger into the oil and just dab it into your eye. So that will help for the blocked ear.
And bilva oil, I think, is
will
also
be very good.
Sorry?
Sorry, the nasal drops will be very good.
Yeah, I would say the MP16, and there's a bilva oil. You can get it on Amazon. It's an ear oil that that might.
And some of the pranayam breathing exercises, especially the humming bee, could be very beneficial as well.
Okay. So Anna says, hemorrhoids, how can one heal them when each bowel movement hurts, makes them bleed? Thanks. Yeah, anybody, hemorrhoids, a pitta condition, I take it, is it?
It is more of, yeah, if you want.
No, go on, Dr. Charlie, go on. I'll add.
Yeah, it is more of 3 dosha imbalance condition, because it is more of indigestion that is leading to hemorrhoids, and you have to take care of your digestion well. See what you are eating, eat mindfully, and again, eat at specific times. So lifestyle is one of the major thing where you have to consider when you are having hemorrhoids and when it is again bleeding. So in that case, few herbs will also help.
MA247.
MA247, yeah, for hemorrhoids.
I've had good results with that.
But she's more complaining of the pain in passing stool rather than bleeding, Dr. Brennan. So it could be
astringent, though. Rajvinder, being astringent, it could actually reduce the size and therefore the discomforts as well.
Well, it's both the pain and the bleeding.
It's pain. She's saying the passing the stool is painful.
Each bowel movement hurts and makes them bleed.
Psyllium husk and triphala.
Yeah, keep the bowel motion soft.
And even a few things like even pomegranate juice along with the prune juice will help. And if you have like half a cup of milk and just add 1 teaspoon of cow's ghee into that and just drink that. So that will also help to ease that bowel movements next day. And even triphala decoction, if you make that, so that's a difficult thing, like you have heat bath with that triphala decoction. So that will also help.
Tell them what a sitz bath is.
Yeah. Dr. Raj, you want to explain?
Sitz bath is like your lower body below your belly button. You sit in the hot water. There are special kind of tubs that you can get, but I think you have to kind of maybe fill up your bath up to a level where you're below you just sit in the bath and up to your belly button you can soak it in. So it's just washing the side, washing the passage, because sometimes the membranes around the stool passage can become very sensitive when there are piles. So you need to heal it. So either I advise not to use too much of toilet paper as well, because you can peel the skin more than use water. Traditionally in India, people like somebody from Indian trip, they know they were shocked by the toilet water pipes, but that's what they practice in Asian countries. They use water. So use water, or you can use triphala water when you shower. Just kind of clean the area with the triphala water. It's really you want to the skin around the passage heal it.
And there should be no straining when you're having a bowel movement as well. I mean, if you're straining, it's going to, there's research done now. I don't want to get too graphic here, but like in Asian countries, people squat when they go to the toilet, So if you've ever been to India, you see just a hole in the ground, Whereas in Western countries, we sit on the bowl. And in actual fact, that it gives a different angle to the body. And the squatting is meant to be much more effective and much better on the system. So here's a little tip what people are doing, okay? Some people get a little stool, okay? I'm not being ironic there or funny, but I'm saying stool, okay? But they get an actual stool, okay? And they put their feet on it. They put their feet up, and that brings the knees up and makes the evacuation simpler, So it's a very painful condition. I mean,
it made me laugh because when we were in India and all, when we stop in a restaurant to eat, people go and look at the toilet. Oh, that's a squatty one. I'll wait to go to the other one.
Because they're not used to. Irish people like to read a newspaper when they're going to the toilet. It's harder to do that when you're squatting.
So
I mean, it gets your muscles, even your thigh muscles, become involved in the whole process. So actually, squatting is better, but we don't have those toilets in this country. So if you get
a stool, is a very good tip.
Yeah. And also what Rajvinder said about toilet paper as well. Like I spent an awful lot of time in India and I got very used to using water to clean myself. So now what I did when I came home was I went down to the local hardware store and I bought a hose pipe with a pressure thing on the end of it. And I piped it into the pipe underneath my sink, okay, and then you just squirt it, and it's just on a hose pipe, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's great. I mean, you can still use toilet paper, but it's absolutely brilliant, you know. So so those things there, it's to do with diet, it's to do with you know, having a proper bowel movement, but you shouldn't strain. And you know, then hopefully then you can, and MA247, as Dr. Brennan said as well.
And then one more tip to this person: castor oil as well. Just put some castor oil when you're done with the toilet.
Yeah,
Put castor oil on the area, not into your mouth.
When you're done, yeah, toilet, and then just.
Isn't it a fascinating topic for discussion? I bet everybody's on their chair.
You want to stay on it, okay?
It's one of those natural functions, you know. So, and the piles can be very, very sore, and as I say, a lot of people suffer from them, and it's very uncomfortable, you know. So there's lots of tips there.
I love that thought of castor oil on the area as well. And with regard to the Sills bath, if you had a big basin, it would save you half filling a whole bath. You know,
saying to sit in the basin.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we should have a webinar specifically on hemorrhoids.
You're going to fill your back
A huge one.
the decoction. Jesus, I know it'll be delight. It'll be a huge bill for your bath.
So one more asana which came to my mind. So when Noel was talking about the stool thing, so it is called as the garland pose. It is Malasan. So that is very effective, and it will help to even improve your digestion as well. And it will help to even open up those muscles which are constricted at that point. So
which asana is it, Doctor?
the garland pose.
The which?
Garland.
It's also squatting position. If you sit, can you unmute Dr. Nahid before we continue?
Oh, is Dr. Nahid there?
I just saw a message pop in from her.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like squatting position, the twist, all that are good. Child pose are good. Any kind of asanas that can kind of push your belly a little bit. So asanas, yeah, in general, yeah. Maybe you can demonstrate the one you were saying. Can you explain it?
Hi, Dr. Nahid.
Hi, Noel. How are you?
Very good. Have you been listening to our conversation?
Yes, like for
Sorry, we
like.
didn't see you coming.
Yeah. I was messaging you. Maybe like you were busy.
Oh, I didn't check
no,
my phone.
messaging me on what? On the chat here?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm only halfway down the chat, so your chat will be. I'll get down to your chat. I'll know that you're there, just as well one of the other doctors saw it, you know. Okay.
Great, Nahid, you're here. And do you have anything to add to all these wonderful suggestions?
Yeah. So I was about to add that Mala Asana. So regular practice of squatting postures really help with constipation. And hemorrhoids is one of the complication of IBS, which is considered as Grahani disease in Ayurveda, like the disease of all the intestine. So taking buttermilk every single day helps with IBS, like the Grahani disease, and that helps to, you know, like with your hemorrhoids. So it doesn't lead to like further aggravate the situation, and it helps with the bleeding and digestions as well, because with the hemorrhoids, all the doshas and the dhatus are involved, and there is like swelling and there is like growth around the anus. So taking buttermilk with your midday meal really helps.
Okay. So,
and yes, Dr. Nahid is in India. Someone asks if Dr. Nahid is in India.
Yes, I'm in India.
Okay, so anyway, we'll move on from hemorrhoids. We've been here for a while. So I have a friend who has bad vertigo. Can you give me any advice, please? He's been to the doctor. They gave him medication, which is of no help to him. Would appreciate any advice I could pass on to you. Thanks. So anyone, any advice on vertigo?
Dr. Nahid wants to take that. She just came. Dr. Nahid, do you want to answer? No.
Is it about vertigo?
Yeah, vertigo. Yeah.
So vertigo can be because of some problem with your middle ear. So you really need to get your ear checked, whether there is a problem because of that. And along with that, I would say that practice some kind of meditation. And there is an asana which is like Shirshasana, like the head down and the legs up, but that's too tough to do. So you can start with, balancing your body a little bit, like a head a little bit, the asanas, which helps with that. And I would also say that try to include diet and lifestyle, which is balancing for the vata. So you can add in your daily routine the nasya, which can help to keep your ears and all the senses healthy. which will help with your vertigo. Practice of pranayama and asanas will help. And I would say that get your blood pressure checked. So if there is a problem with your blood pressure, if it's low or it's high, there could be problem with your vertigo. So I would say that I would emphasize that try to find out the main cause of your vertigo and get it treated first. Because a random advice, I won't think that that would help if you don't know the underlying cause of your vertigo.
Okay.
Yeah, the tonics, nerve tonics can help, but yeah,
Yeah.
as Dr. Naid said, need to investigate. You can't say just, yeah, but I say the mild nausea will be very good. So,
So the MP16 oil, yeah.
maybe ghee, start with ghee, because we don't know the person and it could be too strong.
Yeah, like just smear your nose with your little pink finger with the ghee. Smear it initially.
Okay, so someone here is saying they get wind from eating beans, but they're using spices and they fry them first and add them at the end, but they're still getting wind. So it could possibly be the bean that you're using as well. So mung dal doesn't tend to aggravate vata. Beans do aggravate vata. I mean, that's a no, everybody knows that, you know, beans, good for the heart. I won't go on with the rhyme, you already know it, but so they do aggravate vata. So mung dal doesn't tend to aggravate vata so much. Maybe reduce the amount. But Rajvinder, you want to say something?
You soak them maybe for 2 nights rather than one. That kind of break down the lecithin, lactic acid just in the beans, because beans don't want us to eat them, so they want to protect themselves. So that's kind of their protecting mechanism. So we need to break down the fiber better, because it's very strong fiber that your stomach is not able to break it down. So you said you're using spices. I hope you're using ginger and kind of garam masala or cumin powder, that kind of spices, which increase a little bit of hydrochloric acid of your stomach and then help to break down the fiber better.
Okay, so maybe the person isn't soaking them at all. So even soak them once overnight.
For longer, you know? Yeah. And the other tip is you boil them and for a few minutes and then wash them and then boil again. That really break down the skin. So
Dr. Brennan has something to add to that.
He has a tip.
I was going to ask the three Vajas, I've heard that you pour boiling water. As you know, when you're going to soak them overnight or for the 2 nights, start with boiling water for them.
You
and
can
then
do that.
Cool and soak, because that will break it down more. And I think that's one thing. And the spices you're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're using asafoetida, that's the hingu, that spice, definitely.
Hingu or asafoetida into that.
What was that, Chitrali, hingu or?
Hingu, asafoetida.
Asafoetida, yeah.
That spice.
When you're cooking with the hingu, you put that in first. When you're doing the spices and a little bit of ghee, you start by putting in a small amount of hingu, not a lot. It'll be less than 1/4 teaspoonful maybe. And then, you know, you subsequently add in sequence what spices you're adding. And then, you know, that will be added to the dal or the cooked beans.
And when you put the beans curry in your bowl, maybe add another kind of a drizzle of ghee on the top, because beans are dehydrated, they're very drying as well. So you need to put a lot of moisture in them and more
Yeah,
fat
they
in
increase vata, which is dryness, you know. The other thing is, just when everyone is mentioning hingu there, I didn't mention it in the email today or the newsletter I sent out right at the end of the newsletter, but we have, I have about, I'd say 100 jars of Maharishi Ayurveda Hingu, which is by far the best in my experience. That has an expiry date of June 23. Now I don't really believe in the expiry date of Hingu anyway, but anyway, this is on the label. So we've reduced the price of that just to move it on. So anybody interested in buying a really good quality Hingu, I think I dropped the price from €18 to €12. And then also we have the new website out at the moment, which is giving people 20% off as well. So if you've never used asafoetida, it's also called Hingu. Now is the chance to get a really good one at a very reduced price. Any suggestions for an eye cyst? Been a problem for months.
Triple eye wash.
Eye wash, ghee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dr. Naheed, are you with us?
Yeah, I am. So,
you did a brilliant webinar on ear, eyes, nose, and throat. So an eye cyst?
Yeah, so for the eye cyst, I would suggest that you can do a triphala eye wash. And along with that, I would say you can make a pokli and you can take some dry ginger into that. You slightly warm it and just it should not be too warm. It should be like very mildly warm. You can put it in a microwave, or no, not in a microwave. You can put it in a pan or something like that, and just slightly warm it and slightly try to put it in your eyes just to provide some kind of little warmth and compression that will help to squeeze your cyst, because there is like fluid and this kind of things inside your cyst, which is like a kapha disorder. So when you put a warm something that tries to, liquefies the kapha thing and tries to reduce the size. And definitely triphala is a wonderful herb, combination of herb for eye. It's an excellent tonic. You can either simply use that by soaking it into hot water in a glass of water overnight, strain it in the morning and just splash the water in your eyes. The second way, which will be more effective, but that will be a little bit more time consuming, that you need to make the decoction of the triphala. For that, you need to take around 200 ml of water and add 10 grams of triphala powder into that. Try to reduce that up half of the amount. So when it's like 100 ml around, strain it and then let it cool down, come it to like room temperature, and then you can wash your eyes. You can even make it like more concentrated and you can store it for a day only. So decoction should not be used after 24 hours. And you can use that as an eye drop. So like 4 drops in each eyes in the morning and then in the evening. So whichever way you find more convenient, you can do that.
Okay, and there's a great webinar on ear, eyes, nose, and throat that you can get on our website as well. But sorry, Rajvinder.
Slightly stingy, so don't worry about that. That's normal.
Okay, it's a pitta thing. Like I got netratharpana done, which is where they put, I'm very pitta, and they put this thing over your eyes, and then they put ghee and melted ghee, and then they ask you to open your eyes, which is difficult to do when you're pitta, but it's very, very cleansing. And it's, I mean, in India, there are hospitals that just deal with eye. There are Ayurvedic hospitals that just deal with eyes. I mean, the Kenyan Prime Minister's daughter had her eyesight restored by going to one of these hospitals, and like it's an amazing thing. There was a big article about it, So they just have hospitals just dealing with those things, There's a question there from Tamara. Tamara, I think you should contact Dr. Naheed directly. MA9 I've never heard of, so there's something wrong there. So just maybe send Dr. Naheed an email directly in relation to that one. So Claire says, would you have any tips on getting rid of persistent patch of seborrheic dermatitis just above the eyes? Naheed, you can come on again for this one at the top of the nose. It's exacerbated by wearing glasses.
Sorry, where is that question?
It's from Claire Pendlebury.
So before you find the question, I say the panchatik, the medicated ghee will be very good to put on it.
Panchanagritam.
Yeah, we have that.
Yeah, we have that in stock, yeah. So Claire, Panchanagritam ghee, just apply it on it, Rajvinder, is it?
Yeah, panchatik the gritam, I can type in.
Okay. And that's a ghee. So if you just use the search box and put in ghee, the different ghees will come up, and that one will be one of them there. Did you see it, Naheed? No?
It's a seborrheic dermatitis.
I don't have few questions like from.
It's like dermatitis kind of.
Is it like seborrheic dermatitis?
Yeah, the eyeglass is very.
Yeah.
It's just below Tamara's question.
Yeah. No, I can't see Tamara's question.
Because
okay, so Tamara was told to take MA9. She said she was told to take MA9, but I don't know.
I'll get back to her over there.
Yeah, I don't know what MA9 is, So Christine asks, is there a problem mixing Trickatoo and honey together in a small jar? I only mix 2 to 3 teaspoons of honey at a time. I've noticed that sometimes it seems to be bubbling. So you could take Trickatoo and honey, but I just tend to mix them as I'm taking them. So I presume you're mixing them for further usage, Christine. Is that what you're suggesting? I don't know whether that's a good idea or not. Dr. Rajvinder, you're an expert in that area.
No problem. I don't think so, because that's kind of a ginger relish, a dry version of ginger relish, really. It could be the honey that you're using. Depends on what kind of honey is if that causing.
You get a really good quality cold pressed honey. A non-heated honey. If you're taking heated honey, you're probably doing more damage than good. So get a cold pressed honey if you can.
And just make sure there's no water getting into the mix somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no water in
The
there.
bubbling reason.
Water and honey together is a bad combination of food. So
Interesting. That a fact.
yeah,
So you don't mix.
whenever some powder, like any powder, if you wish to have like honey or ghee along with that for the intake, then I would say mix it properly. That's a process called like mardana in Sanskrit. So you mix it properly, and the better way you take it in your finger and you lick it. So in that way you increase the efficacy of that medicine. So you can do in that way.
So
Like
you take it.
Shitopaladi, when you are taking it for the cough, if you're taking it with honey, mix it properly with a spoon, take it in your finger and lick it.
Very interesting.
Okay, so Bernie says she's just getting over a repetitive strain injury which caused very sore neck and shoulder. She stopped the work that was causing it and the neck is better, but the shoulder clavicle is still sore and can't raise her arms as before. Any advice on what to take to help it along? The medical doctor prescribed anti-inflammatories which help, but is there an Ayurvedic alternative? Well, you can have your anti-inflammatories in your diet, and I'm sure the doctors have some suggestions as well.
Osteo relief is good. Joint soothe oil massage will be good.
Joint
And
soothe oil massage, MA929, yeah, brilliant oil.
And you have to do exercises.
Yeah.
Either you work with a physio or a yoga teacher.
And when you're doing the exercises, you oil, and then you heat, and then you mobilize. Because it's like oil in a creaky door, isn't it? So you apply the oil and you apply the heat, and then you'll get and don't force. Stay within the range of, don't push the pain, but bring your joints to the extreme of their comfortable movement, and just doing that regularly hopefully will expand your range. But it can be slow with the neck shoulder area. It can be a bit slow.
God, especially if it turns into a frozen shoulder or something like that, it can be, but it probably won't turn into that, But the joint soothe oil and gentle exercise to release it up. And then maybe some turmeric in the diet as well. Make sure you're putting a little bit of that in with your cooking, It's a very anti-inflammatory. So just a little bit, fry it in the ghee with the spices, and you get it in food format then, So somebody, Zoom user, says their blood pressure is food related. When I have sugar or sweet white rice and overload of carbs, my blood pressure goes up. Any suggestions? Well, there's an obvious suggestion, but I probably won't say it because I don't. Yeah, but anyway, I'm not diabetic or pre-diabetic, so don't overload on those foods. Would be one suggestion anyway. But does anyone have any idea why that might be happening? Otherwise,
that might be one thing. Like the sugar, then which is the white rice again. So it also, according to Ayurveda, it has sweet taste into that. So that will also lead to increase of more sugar in your diet. So more of carbs. So try to switch yourself to protein diet, more of pulses into your diet, fiber into your diets, which will help to keep your BP under control.
yeah. And as Dr. Brennan said earlier on, you can make yourself fat by eating carbs because it doesn't switch off that thing, but you don't do that by eating fats. Like people have become scared of fats, they think fats are the enemy, and nothing could be further from the truth. You need healthy fats in your diet, and so don't be afraid of getting them either, and but it's all the things like too much sweet things, overloading on carbs and all that. So just avoid doing it, and then see how your blood pressure is then,
And one of the proven mechanisms of reducing blood pressure is reducing weight. So if you're taking a lot of carbs, you're likely to be getting overweight. And if you have a better balanced diet, and especially if you're aware to listen to your body rather than your head when it comes to food, so that you follow your appetite and stop eating when you're fulfilled, then you will lose weight and your blood pressure will come down. So,
and Brahmi also helps to keep blood pressure in check. So you can have Brahmi before bedtime or in the evening time, 1 teaspoon with warm water.
Right. Poppy Newton Clare my heart goes out to you. I know we're surrounded by people who have a different mindset to those who are interested in their own health. And so you may not always get supported in the changes that you want to make in integrating Ayurveda. It's that basically we take to Ayurveda with great enthusiasm and tend to take on a lot. And it can actually become a bit much. The real essence of this is that we discover when we eat in the middle of the day as opposed to eating heavily in the evening, we feel better and we are more joyful as a consequence because it's just so natural and it suits us. And it's that voyage of discovery which is most helpful with Ayurveda. So, I would suggest that you notice the difference that the changes are making to how you're feeling and how you're functioning. And, if you then revert back to the old ways, notice how you feel, because you'll then find more inner strength and motivation because you just know it suits you and you want to do it because you want to feel good. But it can be a journey of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. That's the way we all learn our lessons. And it can take time to integrate much of these changes because, there's a lot of change with Ayurveda, definitely. So there's only so much change we can do at a time. So enjoy the journey, Poppy, and don't be overly hard on yourself if, everything's not going your way and you can't do it perfectly. Do the best you can. And as time goes by, you'll end up, being so acclimatized to what you're already doing that to do a little bit more doesn't seem like such an effort. So patience and perseverance and, just be very sweet to the people around you that, they have their ways of thinking and you tell them they're right, but you do what you know to be right for yourself. And don't get into any fractious arguments with them. Just let them think what they like.
Yeah, exactly, Dr. Brennan. I mean, it shouldn't be, I don't like this thing of, about being really, really strict on yourself, I mean, I don't, life is there to be enjoyed, these are guidelines and they're like happiness is the best thing for your health, being happy. I mean, you're coursing the right hormones through your system. I'm not talking about a false happiness through alcohol or drugs or something like that, but just happiness and fulfillment and joy. And, if Ayurveda is taking any of that away from you, then that's you're doing something wrong. We just be easy with ourselves, and we have these ideas, okay, I've got to, it's good to go to bed early. Sure, it's good to go to bed early. It's also good to meet friends and go out and have a chat and a night out every now and then as well, so that's good for your health as well. So it's balance. It's about, making the thing right. And if you're doing anything that is causing you damage, like is causing you a lot of harm, well, obviously that's no good. So we just be easy with ourselves, and it's not about really strict rules or I can't do this, I can't do that. We just gradually go over and in a nice easy way be very, very easy on ourselves and just follow the basic principles. And then the only reason anybody will stick with Ayurveda anyway is if they're feeling better, if they're feeling happier. If you're doing a regime that makes you feel worse and unhappy, you're not going to stick with it. Why would you stick with it? So it's about being happy and healthy and not being too stringent or not being too strict on ourselves, So someone, Anna, says, in relation to ear issues, blockages and tinnitus, what can help such issues? I've had numerous ear syringes till I'm 65. So we've talked about that quite a bit. If you have a lot going on, maybe a consultation with a doctor might be a good idea, but definitely the MP16. And we talked about the bilva oil as well. And Dr. Citelli talked about the trick with the garlic as well earlier on as well, But maybe, Anna, if you've got a lot of things going on, it might be worth your while to actually sit down with one of the doctors and go through it and be put on a proper program. Mary Byrne says, can you eat orange and grapefruit peel? I wouldn't be too drawn to eating them, but I'm sure you can. Any ideas, doctors, on eating the peel?
He just answered us in the subsequent chat.
If it's organic, yeah.
Well, no. There's a row on. There's a difference of opinion here. You should not be eating peel of orange and grapefruit. That's very clear, okay?
It's very good for face masks, though. You can dry them and powder them and make a face mask. It's a good antioxidant, a lot of nutrition in the peels. If it's organic, then why not? You
do find that in recipes that a little bit of grated peel of ginger or lemon, it used.
Orange zest.
They're bitter. So.
Just as a small amount.
So Jean-Pierre says hello from Belgium. So hello, Jean-Pierre. Good to have you on board. To everyone, that's at 8:10. Oh, you're on a good while. God, we're working our way down here, and I've got to go in another few minutes. So any advice for sore eye with occasional headache? Well, Dr. Naheed covered the eyes, the headaches. Yeah, headaches tend to be a Vata thing, so it just depends on the type of headache. But meditation might be very good for helping with headaches or some form of stress management. Headaches tend to be tension related. I'm not sure if they're related to food or anything like that, David, if you find them after you take a certain food, but I think a lot of headaches nowadays are just related to tension, and something like transcendental meditation or some other form of meditation can be very beneficial for helping with that and giving the brain some relaxation. Walking in nature is also a great healer. I
think you're right. No, there's so many causes, and you'd have to know the cause.
Yeah.
What caused the headache? Give advice.
You can do the chamomile tea bag, hot fermentation. The sore eye might be causing the headache.
Yeah.
And then make sure you're hydrating. And then
so
resting.
give us the chamomile tea bag trick there, Rajvinder. Do we drink the tea or do we put the tea bag on our eyes?
Drink it and then use the bag on the eye.
Oh, we get 2 benefits for one. Well, there you go. Let's talk about getting value for money out of your tea bag. Make yourself a cup of chamomile tea and then keep the tea bag in it, let it cool down, and then put it on your eye. Yeah, but listen, David, if that continues on, you know, occasional headaches can become more occasional, and you really, as with everything in Ayurveda, you want to get to it. The quicker you get to it, the more you can deal with it, you know. But we don't get headaches for no reason. We get everything for a reason. So it's finding out what that reason is, you know. So Jean-Pierre says, I did the detox the last 2 years, but as I'm turning 70 next month, I will be too old to make the detox cure. Which Ayurvedic pills or herbs should I take instead? And Jean-Pierre is a fairly fit man, I think. So I don't know. What do we think about Rajvinder? This is to do with the spring detox that we're starting next month, actually. And we're going to have a webinar about that on the 22nd of March for people. Like hundreds of people did our detox last year, and we've quite a lot of people booked in as well this year. I know Jean-Pierre did it because he translated some of our stuff into French for us as well, you know. Jean-Pierre, send Dr. Rajvinder an email separately to this, rajvinder@ayurveda.ie, and she'll make contact with you and see if you're okay to do the detox or if there's just some other things that you can take, you know. So George Hollis says, thanks very much. Which crop is it that you were talking about? Did not understand the name. Yeah, millet is the name, Jean-Pierre. That's what we were talking about. This is is it the United Nations Year of Millet, Dr. Rajvinder? Yeah.
International Year of Millet.
International Year of Millet, because as I say, it's a crop that can grow in very arid conditions. It doesn't need much fertilizer, and it's kind of full of benefits, you know. Is millet gluten-free and free from the usual sensitivities, allergies? Yes, it is. It is gluten-free. Naheed has answered that. Which type of millet most suit to Vata dosha? Rajvinder, you're our millet expert.
The normal one that's available here in the health store I've seen is proso millet, which is quite tiny. It looks, if you ever seen amaranth, I don't know. So that might create another question. What is amaranth? So it's tiny, and that's easy to cook. It's cook easily like rice. But there are 9 different varieties. So yeah, so I say you start with that one, what is available in the health store, the tiny one, proso millet, but they don't call it proso millet, they just call it millet.
So Zoom user says, what is your opinion on gluten-free foods? Well, you know, if you have a gluten intolerance, fine. I mean, I wouldn't have any issues around that.
Just refined gluten, refined flour. So just if you don't have any gluten sensitivity, but avoid the white flour.
Okay, so Sharon says, have you any advice for the feeling of light legs? My dad is awake a lot during the night with this problem. He feels he is to get up and walk around to relieve it, but that may not even help. Light legs.
It's like restless legs, I think.
Restless legs, is it, Sharon? Is that what you mean? The legs keep moving and everything, which would be a Vata condition. Rajvinder, you go ahead and answer that.
Sometimes iron deficiency is a reason, so make sure he's not high in iron or deficient in iron, both cases, or he's not on statins, anything like that. So because as we said earlier, statin can cause discomfort in the legs. So a simple leg massage, the Vata oil massage before he go to bed, liver feet massage could be good, or doing an Epsom salt bath over the feet and legs could be good as well.
Okay, so Naheed says, please, which I did. So can you mention again about statin? Did you say red rice yeast? Is the red rice yeast is the thing? And that's where actually statins were developed from, you know. Can one of the doctors millet name, please? So we've done that. What to take for blocked and dry nose? MP16, Nasia oil. Brilliant. Everybody should be taking that anyway. It does everything above the neck in traditional Ayurveda. So it just keeps this whole area clean and clear and helps protect against viruses, and very good for the brain. The nose is the gateway to the brain. So MP16, also called MA730, and also
35.
called nasal oil.
735.
Sorry,
And-
735. Sorry, yeah.
And followed by steam inhalation with MS634. Just a drop or a 2 drop in a bowl of hot water. Cover your head with a towel, and after putting the oil, wait for some time so that it doesn't drop, and take some steam. It will help to release the blockage.
Okay, so Jean-Pierre says, my wife took red rice yeast instead of statins following advice from her nutritionist. Despite that, she had a light stroke 2 weeks ago and has to go back onto statins and take a medicine to fluidize her blood. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Jean-Pierre. I don't know whether she may have had a stroke even if she'd been taking the statins. So it's that's a very hard one to call, really, you know. But yeah, anyway, I mean, a lot of people take red rice yeast in order to lower the cholesterol levels. There's massive debate in that whole area. It is by no means cut and dry that cholesterol is the problem in that area at all, okay? And if you want to have a look at that, The Great Cholesterol Con by a Scottish doctor, Michael McKitterick, I think his name is. You can just Google the Great Cholesterol Con. You can have a read of that. But anyway, sorry to hear about your wife having that, and hopefully she'll fully recover. My mother had a stroke. I mean, she's passed on now, but she did have a stroke in Spain. Must have been maybe about 10 years ago, but she completely recovered from the first stroke that she had, you know. What to do for acid reflux and heartburn. This is a topic that I'd love one of the doctors to do a talk on, a webinar on. I feel it seems to be coming up all the time these days, people asking me about acid reflux and and heartburn. I would say MA320 is a great help. I mean, it helps with the symptoms. Getting to the root cause of it is a different thing. That's to do with your digestion and the strength of your digestion and the food that you're eating. But as a way of dealing with the symptoms, MA320, I gave some to my brother a while back, and he's not big into herbalism or Ayurveda or anything like that, but he absolutely loved those because it's a great discomfort when you get that. And it can last for like half an hour or an hour after. You just keep getting this, you know, you burp and then you get this acid thing. I've had it myself, you know, but MA320 is a good one. Don or anyone, any ideas, any other suggestions, any quick suggestions for acid reflux?
Well, because it's there first thing in the morning, you know, she's regurgitating over the night. I would wonder, well, about taking a meal at night. If you're taking a heavy meal at night, the contents are still in her stomach, going to bed and lying down would cause a regurgitation. So eating lightly in the evening, and it may be that raising the head of the bed slightly would be helpful to lessen the reflux. So I'll hand it over to the Rajas, who would say something.
Somebody actually added a very nice comment on it about slippery elm, which is fine as well. His answer for another
Slippery
person
elm.
to use.
Okay.
Elm, yeah.
Well, the MA320 is quite effective as well. So we're going to have to go to a close here because I have something else coming up now in a few minutes. But Jean-Pierre said he used a little step. This was my suggestion earlier on for helping with piles or just helping with a clean elimination. So Jean-Pierre says they use a little step, and someone else said they found squatting was so beneficial to gastro issues. So that person also uses a stool now as well, you know.
And just before we go, that Zoom user must just try taking magnesium to see if it helps her cramps or his cramps, just because that's an easy one to get. Some magnesium that you either spray on and take, or, you know, an Epsom salt bath, or get the salt.
Can I take one question? I think that's important. Somebody talking about the production of Ayurveda products and heavy metals. Most of the Maharishi Ayurveda products are very much quality controlled, and we do have quality control certificate on our website as well. So there are no metals and nothing that is not allowed to use in the Europe. So that's why they are expensive and they are kind of good quality.
Okay, that's a huge issue with Ayurvedic products because certain metals and minerals are used traditionally in Indian medicine. They're actually used, but they're used in the correct way. They have a procedure to use them, and they can be very, very beneficial. But obviously in the West, because of previous experiences, possibly with doing things the wrong way. There are very strict limits on things like the amount of lead or the amount of arsenic or the amount of mercury that you can have in a product. And that's why the Maharishi Ayurveda products are manufactured in a separate factory in India that is only for the export market. Only. So there are two different types of Maharishi Ayurveda products. There are ones that are manufactured in a factory that can be used throughout India, and there are other ones that are manufactured in a factory to the very highest of standards. There's huge amount of certification on them that are only used, that are only exported to the West, and that's the ones that we use. So our products are all certified and tested. And there's my call coming in. I'll just okay. So yeah, so that's to answer that question. Okay, I think we're having a Q&A once a month. Maybe we might even increase that a little bit because there's obviously a lot of demand for it, you know. The next time we're on, we're going to be doing a call about our diet and digestion course. We've reformulated that. We're going to do a call about that soon. That's starting on the 21st of March, but we'll do a call about that before that so people can join in. That's going to be a fantastic course. We're doing this spring detox starting. We have a call about that on the 22nd of March. That's starting in April as well, but we'll send out some details about those calls as well. So that's it, I'm afraid. We covered a huge amount of ground. That's to say a big thank you to the doctors for, as always, giving out this knowledge. Like Dr. Nahid, it must be nearly the middle of the night over there. So a big thank you for coming on from India to be with us and giving us the advantage of all your knowledge. And a big thank you to the other doctors for taking their evening off and coming in here and answering these questions and helping to spread the knowledge of Ayurveda as far and wide as we can. Sorry to everybody that asked questions that we didn't get to answer. I see there's an awful lot of questions still going down there. But anyway, we can't get to everybody. So come on the next time we run a talk, and hopefully we'll get a chance to answer your question then. I hope everybody found something of use for them tonight. If it just wasn't, even if it was just mere entertainment value, and it's better than sitting down and watching the telly or something like that, even if that's all you got out of it, at least it's something. But hopefully we did give some useful information to some people, you know. So fantastic. Everybody can go out and buy that little stool now for their bathroom, so there'll be a rush. And,
are you supplying that, Mo?
Is
it in stock?
Is it? No, we don't sell them. You'll have to go to Woody's or something like that. I don't know. I don't think if you ask for a toilet stool, they know what you're talking about. But anyway, listen, everybody, I have to go. Thanks a million for coming on. Jay Gurudev, have a great night. We'll be in touch with everybody. I'll send a recording of this out tomorrow. If you didn't get your question answered, we'll catch up with you again. And a big thank you to everybody for coming on, and a huge thank you to the doctors for helping with their knowledge.
Thank you, Noor, for making
bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.